Welcome to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and today I'm joined once again by Jim Simonette and Graham Diamond. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, Paul.
We've touched a wee bit on your coaching career. How did you actually enter into the world of coaching then? Graham, you stopped playing, you moved into DJing, loving music.
Yeah.
You can tell us all about that as well. And then how did you come back into the game as a coach?
I don't think there was one certain thing. I do remember I was in Maryhill Park one summer. I think it was up at the putting green or the tennis or something like that. And I happened to walk round, and where Maryhill Park is, Jordan Hill College used to have a football pitch there which had a stand on it and a running track round it. And I remember looking round and there was a course going on. I didn't think it was a course. I thought it was maybe just a team training or whatever. So I went over to have a wee look and eventually found out it was a coaching course. It was the C licence. And it was run by one of the lecturers from Jordan Hill and Frank Coulston, who happened to be a PE teacher at Bishop Briggs Academy at the time, but was a Partick Thistle player. In fact, he scored a goal in the 4-1 game. And I had a look at it and I was watching that. Only maybe about 21, 22 at the time or whatever. And I remember looking over, watching the guys doing some drills and whatever. And I happened to say, how do you get onto this or whatever? He said, this is a coaching course, blah, blah, blah. He says, we do one a year. So I was like, all right, okay. So the following year, I found out where it was being held and applied to go on it. And basically, at that time, it was for something to do during the summer, because the summer period when there's no football, it's hell. It's hell. So what do you do after May, end of May, up to the season starts at August? You're champing it a bit. And this was in between then. I thought, I'm going to go down. That's something for me. So I went on it, enjoyed it. When I say I was good at it, that's for sure. But you're out on the football pitch from 10 in the morning till 4:30 at night for 5-6 times. And you're involved in all the different patterns of play, crossing and finishing, shooting drills, possession drills, blah, blah, blah. So for me, it was just like playing football. And that's what I went into, no for to actually think about coaching. So subconsciously, it must have filtered in there somewhere. And the following year, I inquired about the B licence and whatever. But in between that, there was the local street team who were just playing, and it was younger kids than me, and I would go up and play football with them, as I did when I was younger. When I was that 7-year-old playing with the 14s or whatever, I would go up and the kids are playing so they weren't kids actually, it'd be 15, 16, young adults, youths, and one of them knew I'd played a wee bit and said, any chance of giving a coaching session, whatever, training basically what it was. So I did a few wee drills and whatever. It was about 4 or 5 of them, and then the next night there was 9 or 10, and then the next night there was 20, and they seemed to enjoy it. I enjoyed it, and I was just making things up as we were going along, because I didn't know anything. It was only from my own experience of things that I got on was in the S form at Thistle, which wasn't coaching. I don't know if you've heard of a guy called Jackie Husband. Jackie Husband, there's a stand named after him at Firhill, the Jackie Husband stand. Jackie was a Scottish internationalist, renowned for long throw. Jackie used to take us as S forms on the Tuesday and Thursday. But what we did was we ran the track. That was it. Mm-hmm. Press-ups, circuits, run the track, 440s, everything. Very, very little to do with the ball or whatever, because that was just the old style of what it was. So I then did a couple of these things with the boys, stuff like some of them liked it, some of them didn't. Some was, oh, there's rubbish. So I then started introducing a couple of wee possession games and passing drills and just different things with the ball. And they seemed to love it. And as they seemed to love it, I loved it. And that's what that was my first kind of venture into coaching, to think, I enjoy this. And one, I was getting, not that I didn't have the respect, but I was getting their attention. They were coming to me and asking me, can we do this, can we do that? And I was saying, sure, whatever. So much so as they used to chat the door and say, any chance you coming out?
Takes me back to the wee Jinky story with Joe Miller. And Joe Miller's a young kid, and wee Jinky used to go round for a game of football.
Aye.
Chap his mum's door with a ball under his arm because he just wanted a game of football with somebody,
Brilliant.
But Graham, I've had a look through the incredible amount of coaching you've done with various teams. So how do you progress from your introduction, which you've stumbled into, you realise you enjoy it, to actually then start working with teams, working with reserve sides, being assistant managers at clubs? How did that develop?
I think one of the first things that I did is when I stopped playing amateur football. I think my last game officially for amateur football when I was just a player. I played on after that as a player coach and player manager, but it was at Hampden Park when I was playing for Drumchapel Amateurs and we won the West of Scotland Cup, and that was my last 40. I thought, I'm 30 now, I'm going to think now. I just thought that once you turn 30, that's what happened. Again, I didn't know any better. I thought everybody, 30, you're too old, whatever. I've never smoked in my life. I've never taken a drop of alcohol in my life. I'm absolutely teetotal. You could put cocaine and heroin down there and I wouldn't even, I think it would be something for to clean the floor away. I haven't a clue about anything like that. So I didn't have any weight on that I do now, and I should have played as just a player a lot longer. But what it did do was a club had approached me and said, do you fancy coming and being my player manager? So I did that. But that's a hell of a difference for going from being a player to a player manager, because when you're a player coach or player manager, when you're a player, you just worry about your own game and how you can fit in with the team. As a coach, and particularly a player coach, player manager, you don't have to, you do play everybody's game, and it definitely affects your own game or whatever, because you can't turn around and point the finger at someone and say, you never done this or done that, because right away they can turn around and say, well, what about you doing this? So you're on to a loser right away. So but I did it, and that's why I know you're on to a loser, because I did it. And I went to another team, did the same. In fact, the team played Bishop Briggs up at St Mungo's, up at Loreto, and I did the same there. But at that time, I had progressed to doing my licences. The B licence it was at that time, so I'd got a little bit more knowledge and experience of technical and tactical coaching at that side, and trying to put it into practice. So that was me. So that was the amateur side of things. My first venture into working with boys clubs with Jim at Clyde Soccer, and again the experience of just how you deal with young kids to how you deal with adults is totally different. And they give you everything if they're treated properly, which they were. It's not always the case with adults. They might try, and you're the greatest guy in the world as long as you're playing. See, when you're not playing, I'll not say what they think.
What they think of you.
What they think of you, aye, but it's not complimentary, which is just life, I suppose. So did my kind of apprenticeship as it was for starting off, made hundreds of mistakes. Hundreds, thousands. Would I change anything if I went back? Oh, absolutely. For sure, I would do things so much differently. This, that, the next thing. Fell out with good friends of mine because they were in the team or whatever. And I happened to pick the team if I never picked them or something like that. They took it personal, which it never ever is. And as a coach, you have to make difficult decisions. And the most difficult decision you have to make is picking the team, because you're leaving another 5, 6, 7 guys out. And in amateur football, is they're paying the same money as the next guy, and they're doing the same training or whatever. So it's always difficult, and maybe having to say you never played that well last week, and that's why you're getting left out. And they don't like hearing criticism. But if they're honest, they'll hold their hands up. But I can assure you, they're not honest. So that gave me that insight into things. So having experienced the amateur side of things, having experienced the youth side of things, I was really fortunate to have got a phone call one day to say, would I mind coming in and helping out at Partick Thistle with the under-18 team? And I said, sure. Went along there, and after four games, the guy who'd asked me along chucked it or was sacked, one of the two. So I was left with the team, and we had 5 games to play, 3 in the league, and a semi-final of the Scottish Cup. They were in the semis of the Scottish Cup. So I managed to win that, played St Mirren at Love Street, managed to win that. And we won the 3 league games. and we played at Hampden against Motherwell at that time. Now, Motherwell had a lot of good players playing. Thistle had one or two good players. I don't know if you remember, boy, Tommy Smith. Tommy played with Hibs, went to St Mungo's Academy. There was 5 boys for St Mungo's Academy played. Tommy was probably the best. But Motherwell had guys like Jamie Dolan, who sadly passed away, Alec Burns, Tommy McLean was their manager, playing at Hampden, and we got beat in the last kick of the ball in extra time, and Jim Duffy was working with me at that point. So basically I kind of stumbled into that. So being lucky and timing has got a lot to do with things being in the right place at the right time. So that had that on my CV. I then had my licence. I then had the experience of working with a professional club at a decent level, under 18, playing in National Cup finals. And then it just kind of seemed to go on from there.
Jim, we talk about luck, and we do know that you need to have that fortune, but without the skill and the talent, you can't progress that fortune. You can't take the opportunity. I think Graham's been, what would you say, he's been quite humble when he's talking about his coaching. What would you say from the outside looking in? You've worked alongside Graham.
Graham's a fantastic coach. Very technical in his knowledge and how to form a team, and where it be attacking, where it be defensive. You would have Graham beside you, but he can be as humble as he wants. He's a very, very good coach. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been working at the clubs that he's worked at and the people that he's worked with. No, he's fantastic. And standing watching when Graham was doing his assessing, when I was going through, God, it seems a long time ago now, when I was going through my courses and Graham was taking them, he put the message across very clearly and easily to understand. So Graham's a very good teacher as well of coaches. Puts it across simply and it doesn't sound difficult, and that actually helped me as well. I'm the first person to admit I'm not the best technical coach in the world and whatever, but I enjoy it because of guys like that, because of guys like Graham. And there's a lot of good coaches like Graham that I personally think should be at various clubs and different levels, but it doesn't seem to happen. But you would have Graham beside you in a situation where if you had to change a game, if you were down or whatever, to make it become a winning game, great guy to have beside you.
I think one of the things we can actually go back to was we were playing in the final of the Scottish Cup when we were talking about Clyde soccer, and we're playing a team from Aberdeen. And we had done really well in the semi-final, and we're playing at the Excelsior Stadium at Airdrie, and we were horrendous in the first half.
Terrible.
The boys froze, and I was just absolutely delighted to get them in at nothing each, 0-0, because we could have easily been 3 or 4 down in the first 15 minutes.
Absolutely, yeah.
The boys just froze, and the occasion got to them. And I think probably to this day that 10 minutes at half time was probably one of my better 10 minutes of coaching a team and imparting knowledge and change, because he came out in the second half a different animal and went on to win it quite comfortably. But there was a few home tours told that during those 10 minutes. And that gets back to what I was speaking about earlier, that we can't always just mollycoddle and make sure someone's getting upset by hearing the truth. And those kids heard the truth that day. They certainly heard the truth, and they took it on board, and they came out with a determination and a resilience to go and, as I say, win the game comfortably. But I think looking back now, if you had to ask any of them about the game, I wonder if they would mention the half-time team talk.
It's interesting.
I think they grew up, Paul, in 10 minutes.
Exactly.
They grew up very quickly.
I was going to say to you, I mean, it brings to mind there's so many occasions where the coach, the manager, has been able to turn things round at half-time. The one I was talking about earlier this week was Neil Lennon at Rugby Park.
Yeah.
2011, 4 months into the job, he's 3-0 down. And Lenny's come out himself and said
he's out of job.
He's out of job.
Yeah.
But he'd done something in that changing room to galvanise the side, and they got the 3 each straw.
Yeah.
You look at the Feyenoord game 50 years ago, and observers say that Celtic, for the first 10 minutes of every half, because it went into extra time, were at their best. And that's because they've just been given their pep talk for Jockstein. So you can see the effect that managers can have. I'm going to ask, because there's so many clubs and positions you've had yourself, Graham, who's easiest to coach, kids or seasoned pros?
That's a great question, Paul. That's a great question.
It's a very good question, actually.
Aye. Wow. Now, I'm not dodging it here or passing the buck. It depends on the circumstances of the occasion. I would think if it's your normal run-of-the-mill type game or whatever, I think it's perhaps easier for kids to change things or whatever. If it's a game that has real significant importance, I think adults, because you can really be straight to the point. You can really make significant changes in both tactics and attitude and shape, that they will be able to switch to a back three, and you would be confident enough that they would be able to handle that. You wouldn't be able to be confident that your kids would be able to handle that to a certain extent, to go on and have to win the game. So I think the more important game, I think it would be adults, because you would have done all your prep beforehand. You would have discovered why or why it wasn't working potentially, and then you could perhaps make changes that they would understand that would make that difference, along with motivation, with belief, giving them belief that, that we can go out there and do it in the second half. We might be 1 down or 2 down, but if we get the next goal, we're back in it. It's all these types of things. It's not always just tactical or technical, that everything comes into it. And that's the most important time that you have, is that half-time period. So you need to be organised and know what you're going to be saying. Almost be like your ad-lib lines are well rehearsed. Almost, you must have phrases that you can put in there that will relate to that player, and you know that player will take the jab, and you'll know you'll need to go over and cuddle this one. So it's about knowing your players. Whereas with the kids, I don't think you can make too many changes, because the more you try to change something is out of their kind of norm, the more they start to get slightly confused. So I would say, the answer to your question, perhaps the more important of the game would be, it's easier to do it with adults.
I'm looking here, you've the positions you've had, Graham, at clubs like Motherwell, Partick Thistle, St Mirren, Ross County, Falkirk. When you're going through these teams in various positions, is there ever something in the back of your mind you'd love to work for Celtic?
Well, I did. So, yeah. And I worked with many good players, very many good players. For me, not the best player I worked with, but the one I get the most pleasure from working with was Stephen McManus. Worked with Stephen at under 15. A lovelier guy you couldn't meet. Fabulous family, so respectful, so polite, determination and willingness to succeed and be a winner and learn. Not that the rest weren't. I just felt that from where he was when I had him, and had played that part in his development, and Stephen, when I had him, was a midfield player, a very good midfield player. He was tall, he was leggy, rangy, played left side midfield, and then the next time I saw him, he was playing centre back, and I thought, oh, okay. Again, he'd grown another, 8 or 9 inches by that time as well. But Stephen didn't have it easy at Celtic, and I'm sure if you ever speak to him or listen to any podcasts that he's done with anyone, he'll tell you that he wasn't a regular. He was out the team quite a bit. He was sitting in stands where players were playing before him. He didn't know whether he was going to make it or not, and it was only through his own belief and willingness to work hard, knuckle down, get the head down, and just work away and prove to people who had any doubts that he was good. And from what he's achieved, going on to be captain of Celtic, captain of Scotland, I take great delight in that. But the biggest thing I took out of it, I was actually going into Hampden Park one day, up to the SFA at the 6th floor, where we had to report into at certain times. There's 2 sets of stairs go up. One goes up to the right, one goes up to the left, and 2 sets go down, and they go down to the museum down there. He was actually having an interview, a live interview with Sky, I think it was, with himself and Barry Ferguson. And so they were kind of side by side, halfway up the stairs. And I just happened to come walking in. Now, I hadn't, at this point, Stephen's captain of Celtic, so I hadn't seen Stephen for about, 8-9 years, something like that, easy. And I walked in, and of course you see the cameras here, and you look up, and his lights are all on him and whatever. So I just kind of, as I opened the door, just started to give it a wide berth and go around. And next thing I know is he's actually stopped the interview. He's actually said, "Excuse me," stopped the interview, live interview, come running right down, gave us a big cuddle. How you doing? How's things? How's the family and stuff like that? Well, honestly, I buckled. I thought, wow, that's the mark of a man who remembers and recognises just a wee bit that I did from that. I mean, I played a great part in him, but for the time I did have him, I gave him my best shot, and he seemed to appreciate that. And by him coming over and just giving us that big cuddle, it meant the world to me. And you can't put a price on that. You cannot put a price on that for everything you do. And I'm sure there's stuff like Jim, that if he sees if a kid comes up now, in fact, one of the kids that played in Jim's team, a kid called Callum Nolan, who we actually left out in the semi-final, but we brought him back in for the final. He's a teacher now at Holyrood School. And I'm sure now if you met him, he would be the same with you, as would any of those boys, and even not any of the ones who haven't been successful. But for to see it coming from Celtic captain, Scotland captain, someone who has that profile, he'd never lost his humility and his recognition of, you know what, thanks for having you done. And just before we left, I was asking his family this and that, and I said, listen, you better get back to that interview. He says, no, that's fine. He says, I just wanted to say thanks for everything. I went up the stairs, tears are streaming down my face, and I don't mind admitting that.
Says a lot for him, but
what a lovely guy.
Says a lot for what you've done for him as well. So, Graham, how did you get to Celtic Park finally after supporting the club as a young man, going through your career, getting into coaching? How did you finally end up at Celtic Park?
I was working for the SFA as a community coach at Partick Thistle at the time, and the makeup of the Park Gardens staff at that time was Andy Roxburgh and Craig Brown. Then there was Ross Matthew, who looked after the schools. Then there was Frank Coulston. Then there was Jim Sinclair, who looked after youth, and Tommy Wilson, who looked after children's, as in regards to coach education, whatever. But they felt they had a gap, and they wanted someone with profile and someone who preferably had experience of working abroad. So they brought in Eric Black, and Eric Black used to come to a lot of the coaching courses just to see how you do. And he seemed to take a shine to me. And Eric then went to Celtic, and I got a phone call from him and asked him, would I like to come along and be part of things? Well, I don't think he managed to put the phone down before I was actually at the front door at Celtic Park by the time that actually happened. So I've got Eric Black to thank for that. Eric then became the not general manager, but he was in charge of everything from the reserves down to try and revamp the existing youth setup. And I thought he was fantastic. It was great for me. I can't speak highly enough of him. Fabulous coach, lovely guy. Don't cross him though. Don't mistake kindness for weakness as far as Eric's concerned. But for me, he certainly knew his stuff, and he revamped everything in there. And so he brought me there, 97, gave me the team that Stephen McManus was part of. I think he was about the only one who actually came through from that team. The team above had Stephen Craney, Jim Goodwin, Liam Miller, Ryan McCann, John Potter. They were decent. And the team down below, which was a very good team, had Sean Maloney, John Kennedy, wee winger, ended up at Thistle, Commander, Stevie Murray. But they were a decent squad. And I helped out with them as well. And then we also got taken into work with the younger teams. We went to Basavelde in Belgium. Good players there, Ross Wallace, David Marshall, big centre-back who I thought had a real chance but didn't make it. He ended up playing with Ross County, Anderson. Don't know what happened. So, although I was brought in to do the 15s, I fluctuated between the lot, and it was a great experience working at those age groups, and particularly when you were going away to tournaments and whatnot. The thing that I liked about Eric was he had a philosophy that he wanted to follow, and he liked to get on with it. And it wasn't breathing down your neck and whatever. And when Eric eventually left after the John Barnes game, that we'll call it the John Barnes game about Inverness Caledonian Thistle, when John gets sacked, and Eric didn't, but left as a matter of principle that if he was the assistant, he would go if the manager went. So Eric left and then went to Motherwell. And fortunately, after that time, I had left Celtic, and I got a phone call from him asking would I like to go to Motherwell. and be part of the setup there, and it was great. There was Eric, and he brought in Terry Butcher. He brought in Chris McCart, who was taking the under-12s at the time. But because Chris was an ex-Motherwell player, it was felt that would be quite a good fit, particularly PR-wise and whatever. And plus the fact that he was going to be part of the staff. And I got the call to go there, and it was great at Motherwell as well. But the time I had at Celtic was just special, as you can imagine.
And you've gone back under a different role.
Yes, aye. A very good friend of mine, Raymond Farley, is in charge of the International Academy, where Celtic has 71 partner teams, roughly, throughout the world. And they were negotiating a partnership in China for the first time. And he had a Chinese guy working in the staff at Celtic who'd kind of helped to set this up. And they thought if they could break China, it would be very profitable for them in many ways. One, financially, and two, identifying talent, perhaps. So I get asked, would I like to go to China? Because one of the staff members there who was looking after that area of the world, they felt that maybe lacked a little bit of experience. And could I go along and give my experience, which I thought was great of him, asked me to do that. So I'm thinking, okay, where am I going to be going? It would be Beijing, it would be Shanghai and stuff like that. No, right in the middle of China, the Sichuan province, which so if you know China or you don't know China, it's right in the middle of China, Sichuan province. We arrive there, it's January, it's about 10th of January, whatever. It's absolutely Baltic, and we get put into this hotel. Now, if you can imagine the old Iron Curtain, East Germany type affair where they had all these schools for athletes and stuff like that, who all they did was just go there and train. This was what this was. And we were training, and we're putting through 24 teachers in a coach education course. So so my expertise was called upon there because the other chap didn't have that skill set, and I was to be the lead, and he was to kind of be mentored by me. So we go over there. Nobody speaks a word of English. We're given two interpreters who couldn't really speak much English either, and we managed to get through this coach education course, and it was absolutely brilliant because what I did was at the end I managed to do a speech in Mandarin, but I did it phonetically. So I actually asked the interpreter, what's the word for this and that and whatever, and they would say whatever the word was, and I would write it down as I was hearing it, and then I would say back to them what I'm writing down. So we goes out on the last day, we get taken out to see a part of China, this city, wherever it was, but because we're in the middle of nowhere, there was nothing to do. You went in, you had your own dining room, of which you had your own personal waitress or chef who would make the food in front of you, serve it and everything. I mean, they looked after you as best as possible. And then you went into your room, and we eventually found a snooker table on the last day, but that was neither here nor there. So we actually went out for a walk this night, and you can imagine it. These people in that part of China hadn't seen any white guys or whatever it was, you know. So as we're walking just down the street, Chinese people would stop right in front of you and stare you up and down, and it can be quite intimidating if you're not used to it. And absolutely no scruples, you know. They would just stop right in front of you as you're walking down the street or whatever, and you can't get past them, and they're talking away to their wife or their pal or whatever, and they're looking at us and they're giving it all that. So that was a real experience. But the real funny thing about it for me was, and this was a real learning curve, was when you're trying to do a coach education course. Now, bearing in mind, these people don't play football. They're trying to introduce football into China to try and get the World Cup in 2050. That was what the government were putting money in, and blah blah blah. So we are putting 24 PE students almost through coach education. And the interpreter was a girl called Sunshine, and the other boy was an interpreter called Mr. Lee. Now, when you know, football is about passion. So we're maybe looking at a scenario where, you're looking for one of the players to get down the outside and for to knock it past a mannequin and then whip the ball into the box, but it's got to be whipped in because you're just trying to get them to hit front post areas and blah blah blah. So so we say to the interpreter, okay, this is what we want them to do, blah 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 blah. So the interpreter would go and say to the guys, now what I'm saying to him or her isn't what they're saying to the people. So you had all these different things to happen, but you need to have passion. You need to have passion and enthusiasm when you're coaching. Well, I think you do anyway. When you're coaching and we're looking for, get the ball down there, and when you get it, really sprint past the mannequin and fire it into the front post. So I say to the wee interpreter, so that's what we're after. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So she would go and say, something, right, okay, here we go. So as I go out, boy takes the ball and he kind of, as if he's going in slow motion past the mannequin and hardly gets the ball out under his feet and then has a shot at goal or something like that. And I'm saying, no. So I managed to get words about no, yes, stop, and go. That was a bit as far as my Mandarin went at that point. And again, it's just not working. So get the wee guy to come over. This time, try it from that side. Maybe he's not very good in his right foot. Try it for that side. Of course, the boy goes up, falls over it and trips up his arse and he's just lying there in the rod, just laughing. And I thought, do you know what? This is really what it's all about, because they're enjoying themselves, they're having fun, they're laughing. Will they be learning anything? Probably not. But are they enjoying themselves? Aye. Job done. Job's a good one. And that was it. And then we went back and we flew back to Celtic. We gave a report saying, aye, everything's fine. Meanwhile, there was a delegation going down to Shanghai or Beijing from the Chinese boy and a chap called Gordon Kay. He's something to do with commercial in it Celtic. And they were trying to form these partnerships. Didn't happen. However, 2 or 3 months later, I find that Manchester City had been over and suddenly put all these processes in place throughout different areas in China. And I actually got word of it and applied for a job just to see what it was. So I eventually found out, fine, they're going to accept me. And they hadn't even seen me coach. And I thought, doesn't sound right. So I happened to know another couple of guys from Scotland who'd applied. One was Kevin McGoldrick, who's assistant manager at Goldies at Stennismuir, and Graham Robertson, who was working with the SFA at the time in Dunfermline.
Ex-Pars.
Yeah. And Robbo went out. And I'm glad that I dodged the bullet, because apparently the kind of interview process down at Manchester City was an absolute joke, and they just put people out there, offered to pay them, I think it was 30 grand a year or something like that, to go and work in different areas in China. And within 4 or 5 months, the whole thing had collapsed. So, dodged the bullet there. Celtic never got a partnership going in anywhere either, and I think they also dodged the bullet. And I don't know whether the Chinese guy is still working at Celtic or not, so it'll be interesting to see that one.
Graham, you have taken us on a journey today, your coaching career right up to date, and we'll be hearing from you again when you rejoin us with PJ Core for your trips to Cambodia. But all that's left for Jim and I to say today is thank you for joining us on A Celtic State of Mind.
Well, thank you, Paul. I've really enjoyed it.